Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're really going to dive into the details of this topic, unpacking a fascinating blueprint for survival in the high-stakes world of product design. Whether you're building enterprise software, consumer tech, or specialized services, you've probably felt that intense pressure, right? That urge to deliver something massive, something absolutely perfect, right out of the gate. But here's the thing, the architecture of long-term success, it almost never gets built all at once. Okay, so let's jump right in and explore the source material from the Architect's Guide to Incremental Innovation in Product Design. We're going to break down exactly how we define our products, structure our innovations, and absolutely avoid those catastrophic pitfalls that end up sinking so many genuinely brilliant ideas.
So here is the million-dollar question. Why do so many massive projects fail before they even get off the ground? I mean, we've all heard the horror stories, haven't we? A super passionate team sets out to build the ultimate solution. They get the funding, spirits are sky high, but then, months, maybe years later, the whole thing just collapses under its own weight. It turns into this cautionary tale where millions of dollars and countless hours result in a product that the market literally doesn't want anymore, or worse, a product that never even ships. Well, today, we are going to systematically dismantle the core reasons behind this and give you the architectural tools to ensure your projects actually survive.
Here's our blueprint for today. We'll kick things off with Section 1, the Mega Project Trap. Then, we'll move into Section 2, the Incremental Innovation Antidote. After that, Section 3, Avoiding the Doomed Project. And finally, we'll wrap up the whole thing with Section 4, Designing the Whole Product. All right, Section 1, the Mega Project Trap. Let's look at how to dodge those structural failures and blown timelines. Every great architect needs to know what the villain of the story looks like, right? Well, the mega project is incredibly alluring, simply because it promises the world. But the reality, it's fundamentally bloated and relies on a dangerously rigid scope. And the reason these mega projects are statistically doomed to fail is that trying to build for every single possible future scenario means making massive assumptions about a market that is constantly shifting. By the time this immovable monument is finally built, the market has completely moved on. It's totally obsolete on arrival. Because it tries to be everything to everyone, it just collapses under its own complexity. Now, the alternative is incremental innovation. It is sleek, it's agile, and it is fiercely focused on survival. It really comes down to a core philosophical difference in product design. Are you going to build a massive, fragile monument or a highly adaptable vehicle? To really grasp why the mega project is such a trap, we have to talk about the math of complexity. Scope times 2 equals schedule times 10. Let that sink in. The relationship between the features you want to build and the time it takes to actually build them is strictly non-linear. Now, why a factor of 10? Well, let's say you're building an app and you decide, hey, let's just add a messaging feature. You aren't just building that feature in a vacuum. You have to test how it interacts with push notifications, privacy settings, database storage, user profiles, the whole shebang. The communication overhead between your engineering teams totally explodes. The bugs don't just add up, they multiply across all these intersecting complexities. So a slightly larger scope ends up causing massive, completely unpredictable delays.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Incremental Innovation Antidote. Let's see how we actually apply the cure.
You see, incremental innovation isn't just about doing less. It's about doing things a whole lot smarter. First off, it unlocks these amazing hidden benefits in speed and agility. By releasing smaller, manageable chunks of value, you're getting real-world user feedback immediately. You aren't waiting 2 years just to find out you guessed wrong. Second, it drastically lowers your overall project risk. If an incremental feature totally flops, you just pivot. Your underlying foundation is still completely safe. Now, to be completely objective here, we do need to acknowledge a limitation from our source material. Incremental innovation will fail when radical, entirely new market creation is required. If you're trying to invent a brand new paradigm, like the very first airplane, incremental steps from a horse-drawn carriage just won't get you there. You need a massive leap. But for the vast majority of product design, going incremental is your safest, most effective path. Which brings us to Section 3, Avoiding the Doomed Project. Let's get into the tactical groundwork. So our absolute best defense mechanism against the doomed project is ruthless market segmentation. You simply cannot build a product for everyone. If you try, boom, you fall right back into that mega project trap.
Ruthless market segmentation means looking at the total market and intentionally carving out a highly specific slice. You're finding a very specific group of people with a deeply felt need. By targeting just one slice of the pie, you instantly keep your scope tight, your schedule realistic, and your product incredibly focused on solving one single thing exceptionally well.
But how do we actually slice that market up accurately? Well, first, you need rigorous methods for segmenting. You've got to look at behavioral patterns, firmographics, or really specific pain points. Next, you have to use the right tools for truly understanding the customer. And I don't mean just sending out a vague multiple-choice survey. We're talking observational research, deep dive interviews, real raw data analytics. All of this culminates in identifying the real customer need. There's this classic quote attributed to Henry Ford that hits the nail on the head. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Customers are great at telling you their pain, but they're usually terrible at engineering the solution. Your job is to identify the underlying problem, the need for faster transport, not just build the literal thing they asked for. Get that wrong, and you're on the fast track to a doomed project.
Okay, so once you've nailed down that real customer need, you have to formalize it. Here is the concrete journey. Step 1, identify the real customer need, just like we talked about. Step 2, create a guiding specification. This is the document that translates that emotional or practical need into cold, hard technical requirements. But step 3 is where so many talented teams totally drop the ball. Use and do not misuse the specification during development. We've all seen it happen. A beautiful 50-page spec gets written, everyone claps, and then it's shoved in a drawer forever while the engineers just build whatever they feel like. Or, on the flip side, management weaponizes it to block any logical adjustments when new data comes in. A good spec is a living, breathing guide, guys. It is not a tombstone.
And finally, Section 4, designing the whole product. Because here's a hard truth. You can perfectly execute your core technology and still completely fail. Why? Because of the whole product concept. The whole product is the complete, holistic ecosystem that surrounds your core item. It addresses every single customer need to ensure full market adoption. Think about the stuff we use every day. If you build the world's absolute fastest smartphone processor, that is just a core item. The customer doesn't actually want a processor. They want an intuitive app store, seamless cloud backups, a snappy operating system, and, a charging cable that doesn't fray in 2 weeks. That entire interconnected ecosystem is the whole product. If you only design the core, you haven't actually finished the job.
Breaking that down a bit further, you have to define specific elements to survive. It absolutely starts with the core product functionality, your basic gadget or software. But then you have to meticulously layer on supplementary services. Do they need enterprise training, professional installation? Then there's customer support. What exactly happens when things crash at 2 a.m.? And finally, the complete user ecosystem. Does your product play nice with the legacy tools they are already forced to use? If your architecture doesn't account for every single one of these things, the market is going to reject it. A truly great gadget with terrible customer service just equals a flood of one-star reviews, and that kills adoption instantly.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Building out a massive ecosystem sounds dangerously close to that bloated mega project you literally just warned us about. And you know what? You'd be absolutely right. To avoid that bloat, you have to balance application economic analysis against whole product design trade-offs. Application economics is basically about the return on investment for the user. How severe is the pain point? And realistically, how much will they pay to solve it? If your analysis shows the market will only pay $50 for a solution, you simply cannot afford to build a $200 ecosystem around it. You have to make calculated trade-offs. Maybe instead of 24/7 live phone support, you build a super robust, AI-driven knowledge base. You use this rigorous economic analysis to make the tough but absolutely necessary choices. That's how you deliver a complete whole product experience without bankrupting your own company in the process. So this leaves us with a final, really vital question to ask yourself as you look at your own work. Does your current project's whole product ecosystem actually survive an economic trade-off analysis? Are you unintentionally building a bloated mega project right now? Or have you mapped out an incremental, perfectly segmented whole product that actually makes strict financial sense? Take these blueprints back to your teams, ruthlessly challenge your assumptions, and start building smarter. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep innovating.